Support for Radio Friends comes from Columbia Healthy Smiles, the dental office of husband and wife team Dr. Batson and Dr. Abe, offering comprehensive and customized care to patients of all ages. Learn more by calling 573-721-9039 or online at www.columbiahealthysmiles.com. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. Got a good friend of mine. This is Wednesday, March the 24th, and my friend Joe Dillard is here. Whenever Joe walks into a room, you can always be sure that there's going to be smiles and chuckles. And today is no different. Good morning, Joe.
Morning, Paul.
Yeah.
You may recall, and you may not recall, the last time I was here, I told you I was going to dress up in my three-piece black suit just for shock value.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find the pants. Well, I found them.
Okay, so you got your three-piece black suit on today.
And that my wife made me that. Actually, this is not it because I've outgrown it. But she did make me a three-piece black suit, which was just really a knockout. You know, she's an expert seamstress.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of the most fun things she ever did was a university professor wanted her to make him a robe. He got up early in the morning to get his lessons, and he wanted something nice and warm. Well, he showed it up our house with at least a whole bolt of gray-looking cloth. Well, our kids, young kids at that time, they just thought that was the greatest thing ever happened. They made a tent out of it. And
out of the cloth that was supposed to be made
there was so much of it.
Yeah.
And so she made that guy that robe, and he came over there and tried that on, and he was just, actually what he did, she said, I don't have a pattern. So he brought over a book, an old English book, opened it up and said, I want one just like that.
And she was able to do it.
And the guy was so pleased.
Yeah. You got stories for you. Anyway, Joe is here because he's written, I don't know, what, 300 or 400 books?
Yeah, right, at least.
The latest one is A Full Cup of Joe refilled with new stories. So it's the original stories and then new ones. And you're pouring some more coffee there, Joe.
Yeah.
But today, when you came in, I said, what do you want to talk about today? He said, well, I want to talk about funerals. That's a really, that's a light subject there.
Uplifting.
But you said the reason you thought about this was because one of the segments that we had on here not too long ago was about talking about end of life and end of life doula.
Right.
Yeah. And you started thinking about it. Right. Well, we don't talk about the end of our life nearly enough, do we? Mm-mm. When you start, some people say, hey, I don't want to talk about that. That's depressing. But the fact is, it is part of life.
Yes.
And we're all going to have to deal with it one way or the other. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, Betty and I had a discussion on it the other night.
Betty's your wife?
Yes.
Right.
And I said, Betty, I think I'd like to be cremated. She said, fine, I'll make an appointment for you next Tuesday.
And she was kidding. She was kidding. That's good, Joe.
Well, we have talked about this and decided cremation would be fine.
Yeah.
Two or three kids are all for it and one's not. And I said, well, look, it'll be the only time in her life that your mother was ever warm.
You talk about cremation. We're talking about everything today. That's what I said. Just go ahead and be cremated. Take whatever parts of my body can be taken and used for somebody else.
Yes.
Take them and use it. I've got it on my driver's license. Mm-hmm. Take whatever organs you want to take, use them for somebody else, and then if they want to study my body, I don't know what they'll get out of it,
Right.
but they can study it and then cremate it.
Right.
And I think that is one of the best things you can do for your fellow man.
Yes, I agree.
Is donate what you can, and then the rest goes to ashes.
Yeah.
And that's a reverend thing, I think, also.
Well, the only problem with that was they won't be able to use my gravestone that the kids have made for me. And that is,
sure they can.
It is, he finally got his peace and quiet. Because that's all. I remember every time come Christmas or birthday, what do you want, Dad? I want my peace and quiet.
on the gravestone. Well, you could bury the ashes. Get the gravestone and bury the ashes. That'd be fine. Is there a story in this book about that?
No, not
But there
yet.
has to be
That's the
one.
next book.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But what are some of the stories in here that you wanted to touch on today?
Let's go back to the three-piece suit.
To the what?
The three-piece suit.
Okay.
This is funeral story number 1, mistaken for the preacher. One of my cohort's fathers had died, and a few of us from the office were going over to the funeral. Betty had just made me a smashing three-piece black suit, and I wanted to try it out. So off we went into a friend's Corvette. He had on jeans. We made it over in great speed. As soon as we hit the front door of the church, a woman came up and gave me a check. And I thanked her for it because I probably only one of 2 or 3 people that had a suit on.
She thought you were the minister.
Uh-huh.
She thought you were the minister, and she gave you the check.
I turned around, and the guy handed me a pot of beans. So I looked around to see where they were taking the food. I took that downstairs. I came back up.
So they thought you were the minister.
Came back up, and that guy who was with me said, "We better go sit down. You'll have me preaching the sermon." So we went and sat down, and there was an aisle right in front of us.
And this is a true story.
Oh, that's a true story.
Okay.
So here comes this gal trucking in that gave me the check. She looked at me. I just smiled back.
Did you give her the check back?
No. I turned around and gave it to the preacher.
Okay. So the preacher did get the check.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good story.
Yeah. The other funeral story is somewhat later. It was down in Osceola, Missouri. My boss and I went down on a real hot summer day. And we got there and turned the car off. I was driving, and we sat there, and it got hotter and hotter. And I said, "Aren't you going in?" He said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "Well, what do you do at a funeral?" And I said, "Well, you just go in and look glum for a while and then get up and leave." So we went trucking in there, and the guy, was trying to seat people, and they asked that question, "Are you family?" Big dude was me, not thinking. I said, "No, we just drove down together."
So what'd they do?
My boss nudged me, and I finally woke up. He asked the question again, and I said, "We're not family."
Oh, Joe, you got so many things. See what I told you? The guy laughs, and it's important to laugh and be happy.
Yeah.
And the other option is to be a grump and
Don't be a rump.
No. The book is called A Full Cup of Joe Refills with New Stories. And how can they get this book?
Contacting me directly.
Okay. It's not on Amazon?
No, it's not on Amazon. No.
Okay, you need to get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
So people can get it there. But you can get it from Joe, or you can write to him at 3535 West Arbor Way, Columbia, Missouri 65202. You stop by
203.
65203. Okay. Okay, and if you're outside working in the yard, stop by and have a good laugh, and maybe a cup of Joe then too.
Be glad to have you.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. It's always a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you here. You've been through so much, but you keep a smile on your face.
And I got a shaggy dog story for you next time.
Next time. Okay? Send me an email, pepperpmissouri.edu. When you go out and about, be sure to wear that mask and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.